Hi there everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel. Amongst other things, I'm a reenactor and a jouster, and recently a friend asked me about helmets. In particular, he's having a helmet made to allow him to move into jousting. It's been a goal of his for quite a while, and he wanted to know what kind of steel he should have his helmet made out of. I thought that was an excellent question and a good topic for a video. In many ways, the answer is just it depends. So if you have a look at a lot of the historical helmets that we use for jousting, you find that they're made of all sorts of different grades of steel, with some being extremely hard, hardened, maybe a spring steel even, high carbon content, and some being basically just iron. It really comes down to what type of helmet you want. You see, you can make an effective jousting helmet out of iron if the steel that you're using is very thick. And even high status helms were sometimes made of this iron. So for example, often the very famous Frogmouth helmets seem to be made of this low grade steel. And in fact, the one that is associated with Henry V, although it's not necessarily known whether he actually wore it, but the one that was associated with Henry V is made of this very low carbon content steel, basically iron. So the reason is that you can just have a very thick wadge of that, and you can still forge it with relative ease if you're using heat. So if you want to have a very thick, strong, large helmet that is resting on your shoulders or your cuirass, then you can really get a lot of thickness in, and you can use a lower grade steel. However, if you're having a helmet made that may be something like an armet or a close helm, then you might want to use a mixture of different types of steel. The armet and close helm designs often do support the neck somewhat, so you won't be bearing the full weight of it just on your spine. But at the same time, you don't want to make it too front heavy, because your neck is supporting some of the weight. It's not all being borne on your cuirass like you would with a Frogmouth helm. That means that if you're going for something like that, then maybe a hardened steel, a high carbon hardened steel would be good. I wouldn't personally recommend a spring steel for that, because those designs are generally very close into the head, and what spring steel does is it absorbs the strength of the impact by bending and then springing back to its original shape. So it doesn't get misshapen, but it does move. And so you don't want that with a piece of armor that is very close to your head, because it can misshape into your head and transfer that energy through the helmet into the padding, and so therefore maybe into your brain as well. So yes, a high carbon hardened steel would be a good choice for that. If you're deciding to go for a sallet, I would again recommend a high carbon steel, really, and no mix for that one. So for example, my armet that I jousted in for 12 years was actually, it had a thick mild steel skull, and then the brow reinforced visor and wrapper were all made out of a high carbon hardened steel. But for a sallet, the entire weight is being borne on the neck, so I would recommend for a sallet go as light as you possibly can, and then the helmet itself won't be doing causing as much wear and tear on your skeleton and muscles. Well, that is really my experience with this. There may be others of you who have further experience and in other time periods, so please don't take my word as gospel. Have a look at originals. If anyone's got any ideas or any insight into other periods or other areas of the world, then I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. Thanks very much, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was interesting. Big thanks to my patrons who are have been supporting me and really helping the channel continue. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.